Welcome to New Sounds Union, the podcast which shines a light on new music and hopefully provides emerging artists with lots of top tips they can use on their own musical journey. Later on, we'll have our recommendations of the month, but now we're going to dive straight in to our big interview. This month, we're speaking to eclectic indie folk artist Jeremy Tuplin, who has released several records across the past decade, all of them combining inventive musical explorations with beautifully poetic lyrics. We'll discuss making his new record at home, working with a label in 2025, and the thrill of genre surfing. But before we chat, let's have a listen to one of the singles from the upcoming record. This is Pigeon Song.
Sends the army to a carnival, or a cease and desist to the drag show. The most magical image I've witnessed as a dog shitting at the side of it. The picture down my cat's funeral. Can't have all you people mourning a dead animal. Would be so easy to give up on it all. Like, what are you drinking while the ship's sinking? But I just don't got the wherewithal.
Welcome, Jeremy, to New Sounds Union.
Thanks, Tim. Cheers.
Yeah.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. So, exciting news. There is a new Jeremy Tuplin record on the horizon, Planet Heaven, which is coming out on the 17th of October. So, yeah, if you could maybe introduce us to the record.
Okay. Yeah, sure. It's quite a kind of grand title, I suppose, which is, I guess, something that I tend to be drawn to in a lot of my songwriting, kind of, big philosophical ideas and things like that. I guess it's the type of kind of question that you don't necessarily think about when you're obviously making a record yourself. You're just kind of, going at it by song, but since kind of trying to, piece together this, the thought processes behind it. Yeah, I guess kind of stumbled across an explanation which might encapsulate it at least to a certain degree. And it is that, like, if you were imagining planet Earth from outer space, and kind of, as an astronaut might be, looking back through his little window in his capsule, appreciate it for like how small, how precious, how, I guess, beautiful it is from that view. That's a kind of good way into kind of, I guess, to approach thinking about the album and kind of how it, like the themes that I delve into throughout it.
A lot of environmental themes, it seems.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of environmental things. Yeah, it's kind of, just kind of trying to then bring that back into being, in everyday situations and trying, and appreciating, the beauty of it for what it is, and how, there's kind of, a sense of fragility to all as well. So Planet Heaven was the title, I guess, that I eventually decided upon for it. I thought it kind of, summarized a lot of the talking points and themes and topics that I go into.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful record. I was listening this afternoon. And I think you're right. Obviously, when you're talking about something as big as, the whole planet and potential environmental issues, it is too big a subject. But I think on a lot of tracks, there's references, to pigeons, to foxes, to more like day-to-day nature, and especially nature you see if you just living in a city as well, which kind of, as you were saying, brings it back.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of, it's trying to narrow down into that kind of, minutiae of everyday living, whilst, kind of having that wider kind of more macro perspective at the same time. I think that's kind of like how it it's kind of my best attempt at a summary in a way. But yeah, I mean, there were maybe one or two songs that didn't make it onto the record, which kind kind of went the other way, and we're kind of imagining a planet hell, and so to speak, and I kind of a more kind of using Venus, for example, as an example of that. But yeah, we might do something with that with those songs a bit later on.
Maybe an EP in the coming months.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, a special edition or something. Yeah.
And this is the first time I believe that you've kind of recorded a full record at home. Is that the case?
Yes. Yeah. Well, so my home and other people, people who worked on it, homes, and
yes.
I'd like the other musicians, either kind of I went round to theirs, or some people came and sang guest vocals at mine, or one or two people sent in some stuff as well. But yeah, no studio recording this time around. So yeah, kind of fully kind of the DIY approach.
Yeah, and was there kind of a key reason behind that? Obviously, budget always comes into booking studios.
So I did a lot of, obviously, I've recorded all of my previous stuff in different studios, but the last time around for Orville's Discotheque, I did quite a lot of the demos were quite fully developed for a change. So kind of really kind of trying out stuff at home to kind of get quite a clear picture of how I wanted sound to kind of develop, and then when bringing it into the studio, I think from doing that, I did I kind of got a bit of maybe I could try this out kind of thing, recording from home, and I think it works as kind of chiming with, or trying to kind of stay true to the sense of the songs themselves. They're quite kind of intimate, a lot of them quite quiet, and there's a lot of space in the songs, and I thought like kind of having that home recorded approach could kind of really kind of embody those the essence of those songs kind of quite well. But I started out just trying to just see if I could do it, basically. And as it progressed, it kind of, I got more confident with how it was all going, and thought, okay, well, let's just keep going with it, and get some people to help me right at the end to kind of do the final finishing touches and polishing and stuff like that.
There definitely is a different vibe compared to your last record, Orville's Discotheque, and I think they'd be very different records regardless of where you recorded them. Anyway, I think because as you said, it's very intimate. They're quite spacey and atmospheric at times on the new record. You can kind of almost imagine you kind of tucked in a corner of your room with a dimly lit acoustic guitar.
Probably a very similar environment to the one you're looking at right now. So,
and were there obviously a lot of people listening will probably do their own home recording as well. I mean, were there lots of teething issues with the kind of setup and getting the quality that obviously?
What I would say is I kind of approaching it not really kind of not knowing at all really what I was doing in a way. I definitely learned through osmosis, I suppose, through working with Mark Estel and being in the room when he was doing all the engineering and kind of mixing as we were going. So kind of I learned quite a lot. I wouldn't have been able to have been in this situation for the fifth record had I not kind of gone through those processes of
No, definitely. And that's a shout out to Mark from the March afternoons, as well as obviously his recording side as well. So excellent band. Do check them out. And I suppose in wider terms, you kind of had kind of key themes for this record. Did that kind of organically come about just with the songs you were writing, or was there quite a conscious approach to I want to explore this area, and I maybe want the songs to be quite different to the last record as well?
I mean, I kind of obviously yeah, I mean, it was always going to be different to the last record, I suppose, because that was such a, it's just like a high concept album that was totally unto itself. And like, there wasn't going to be any kind of, linear and anything that kind of really stemmed from that. It's kind of, the circle there was closed. So it was kind of, just a bit of a, in a way, free, refreshing approach to just kind of seeing where the influences and inspiration, I guess, and ideas just how it just came to me, I suppose, and just following those, and just kind of trying to write about stuff. Well, yeah, I guess from more of a personal perspective and things that were anything that was kind of really kind of moving me at the time, I suppose. And yeah, I didn't like come at it wanting to specifically write about a lot of environmental or natural themes, but a lot of the stuff on it. There are other kind of themes on the album as well. There's a lot of different things that go into, but no, it wasn't a conscious thing. It was just kind of let's just see what songs come to me and just follow those.
No, definitely, yeah. And you mentioned inspirations. I suppose we always ask people maybe, well, some of the acts that kind of inspire them initially to make music, and then I suppose if there were any later on that you had in mind, or you were listening to a lot when you made this record, especially.
I guess from the early days, I was always kind of, in terms of kind of getting me into songwriting, I guess people like Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan, really, those kind of lyrical songwriters. yeah, exactly. The Kinks, kind of the sense of humor that they kind of incorporate into their songwriting. That's always something that I've kind of been drawn to as well. But yeah, then latterly I listened to quite a bit of the Flaming Lips and King Gizzard as well. So quite a lot of phonically also quite psychedelic sounding stuff. I seem to recall the PJ Harvey album, the latest one, was something I was interested in, and kind of they're quite sparse instrumentation and quite kind of unusual in a way as well. So I kind of that was another thing that I thought would be probably an influence at the time when I started kind of thinking about the instrumentation and the production. Yeah, I mean, I'd always reference Cass McCombs, I guess. That's kind of one of my main modern influences.
There's a whole mix, no, as there always is, and I think that's probably reflected in terms of kind of the sounds you've made, in the past decade throughout the various records, because the one we've touched upon, Orville's Discotheque, your last record, you described as kind of dark indie disco, which it very much was. And this one's much more stripped back and intimate, and you've had records earlier on in your career, which, were maybe more stripped back and kind of traditional singer-songwriter as well. So you straddled from folk to indie and kind of a little bit of everything in between. Do you think artists kind of need to stick to one genre, or is it always quite nice to explore new avenues?
Oh yeah, I'm fully in favor of exploring avenues and just not staying within limits of specific genres, and kind of just pushing boundaries and just seeing where the sound I guess needs to go, I suppose I would say, within for what the song to I guess best represent the song. I think that's always been the kind of main driver of my approaches to the production. I think it kind of it's an interesting question, I suppose, because I mean, I think most of my music throughout my kind of 5 albums and EPs and so on have not really tended to stick to any particular genre. I suppose it's kind of always been going in and out, or like, or kind of various genres as well, throughout a record. But sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it can be a bit to my detriment in terms of like my career, or like, kind of how to pigeonhole or place. It's not been great for like me getting booked for festivals and things like that, I don't think, but
it's creatively obviously a lot more rewarding as well.
Well, I mean, it's the only way that I would either like to do it, or even kind of be able to to go about making music, to be honest. So
yeah, definitely. And I think
kind of,
while you've definitely explored kind of different routes, I think they do kind of fit in a similar kind of umbrella, and obviously because you're tying them together with your vocals, but also kind of your lyrics as well. There's they don't feel like completely separate ends of the spectrum. And is there sometimes a case, obviously, as you were mentioning, it kind of depends on the songs that are coming out, but is there a part of you that does want to react to the last record and maybe therefore push into something different?
Yeah, I think so. Tend to try and kind of have a sense of, when I finish the record and it's been released or whatever, or just finish the songwriting and recording of a particular record, to kind of closing that kind of part of the songwriting that I was doing then, and then just having a bit of time then to kind of consider what I would want to create next, or like how I'd want to go about it, or what kind of approach, or I mean, it's probably both a conscious and an unconscious thing, I think, but I think it kind of tends to move in cycles in a way. There's like a kind of often have a like a character-based approach to that, like obviously was the case with Orbos Discotheque, and then think, okay, actually I want to kind of write songs that are a bit more kind of delving into myself a little bit more, and my environment and things like that. But I mean, I find that it's an interesting thing, because I always kind of get to the next, I'm ready, kind of the stage of like being ready to write songs again, and I'm like, I don't know, like how because I guess an element of me wants to kind of approach it differently to an extent each time. It's like I often have the feeling, it's like, I don't know how I ever wrote a song in the past. Like it's it's just kind of trying to piece together. Well, I've got a lot of ideas going along, but it's kind of like how do I kind of break the outer shell and kind of get into the kernel in the middle. And I feel like that's an approach. That's a process that I guess happens every single time. So hopefully there'll be some more songs on the go at some point.
But yeah, I'm sure there's many people who have similar feelings as well to songwriting.
Yeah. I mean, I find the whole process, to be honest, quite baffling at times. But
it kind of just happens, or it doesn't.
Maybe.
But yeah, well, this seems a good time as any to listen to another track from the upcoming record. So here is a snippet of Stranger in the Garden.
Canary in the coal mine. On the drive home, baby. Late at night, what's that sound? Ghost of Eden House in a petrified town. Can we just burn the forest down? Stranger in the garden, oh yeah. Sifting through the earth like a mutated worm. Talking to the plants like the top.
Lovely stuff. So kind of moving on from the creative side of things to more of the marketing and getting people to hear your music side. So you're signed to the Cambridge-based indie label Trapped Animal Records. Can you tell us a little bit about how that relationship came about?
So I think I'd released I Dreamt I Was an Astronaut, my first record on Folkwit, and they stopped operating like kind of soon after that. And I'd released Long Hot Summer, I think, which was like a standalone single, and I think it was played on the same radio as Kerry Devine, one of Kerry Devine's songs, and so yeah, I think we started up a conversation around then with me and Joel, Joel from who runs the label, and yeah, just started talking about, you know, they were just kind of starting out themselves, and yeah, to be honest, they were just, like, you know, really enthusiastic and supportive, and wanted to release that record, and that was the Pink Mirror record, and have been, you know, supportive ever since. And it's just like, yeah, it's just nice in a way. It's just nice to have, as an independent artist, like anyone on your team, just like kind of helping the process, because it is there's just so much to do, like kind of around releasing a record, that it's yeah, any help that you can get, I find is just takes the load off, and yeah, opens doors to an extent, you know, and it's just, you know, just yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Potentially, I mean, a silly question, but what are some of the benefits you've seen then, you know, those helping hands that you've had from being on a label for the last few releases?
Well, I mean, you know, they have, you know, they have the connections to print vinyl, and they put the money up for that as an advance. You know, with working with people who will promote the record as well, they've kind of have those connections. We've got someone working on the press side, on the PR side, and we've also we're working with a radio plugger as well. So we'll see how that, you know, kind of, you know, all funnels into just hopefully having a biggest kind of splash possible with the new one.
No, completely. And yeah, I think it's obviously always a continuous battle. I think even for, like, you know, really quite established acts, is there is so much music being made nowadays. So kind of getting cut through is, as you say, you've got to just keep throwing stuff out there, and no, it does feel quite hard. Yeah, just I don't know if it's kind of a new thing, or just I mean, it's always been quite hard, I suppose, to get anything heard, really, you know, to as wide an audience as possible. Yeah, I think kind of, you know, having people you can talk to and you can just discuss kind of plans with, that have done this thing quite a few times as well. The other thing is kind of, you know, everything's continually shifting in terms of the online environment and social media and all these, you know, various different forms or avenues that you can supposedly use to get people to hear your music. It's you know, it's not kind of, you know, totally easy to kind of stay on top of it all, I suppose. No, definitely not. And yeah, a lot of the people listening to this are kind of often emerging and independent artists themselves, and they're probably asking those questions. Oh, you know, should I try and get myself a label, or do it kind of completely independently? I suppose, would you have any advice for anyone who's maybe looking to take their career to a next level, whatever that might be?
Gosh, I mean, I feel like I'm always just figuring it all out myself, to be honest. But I would, I mean, I would say, you know, just try and just shop your record around. You know, send off some emails to some small independent labels. You know, or maybe just kind of start off by releasing some singles yourself, and you're seeing if that gets any traction, and just but yeah, you know, if you can get, you know, any kind of help along the way, people kind of on your team, to, you know, whether it's a label or just, you know, someone just helping you out, then all help is probably positive at this point.
Lovely. So obviously, well, we're recording this a little bit in advance, but I suppose what else have you got coming up in terms of promotion for the record? And I suppose any gigs?
In October, I've got I'm going to be supporting Jack Cheshire, who's a London-based kind of like psychedelic indie kind of
nice.
Singer-songwriter. He's and that's going to be at Seabright Arms on the 21st of October, and then I'm heading up north. Actually, I've got a gig in Newcastle. What's the venue? It's Cobalt Studios on the 30th of October, and then Prohibition Recording Studios in Liverpool on the 31st of October. So those are the gigs I've got, and then a couple of dates in Belgium and a few dates in Germany in November.
Oh, amazing. Nice. How do those ones come about? Are those venues kind of reaching out to you, or are you doing a bit of emailing?
So the Belgian ones are through a Belgian artist who used to live in London. She used to go by the name Calling Blue Jay, but now she's work under the guise of different bands. I think one's called Fourchettes. And so I've just we've been friends for quite a few years, and she helped, and I think we're going to be doing those gigs together in Belgium, and then just a few other contacts I've had from touring in Germany in the past that going back to basically. But so looking forward to those. Obviously, the album itself coming out, and I mean, promotion wise, just trying to do the best we can. Both, I don't think most. I would say that most musicians you talk to tend to have a kind of a negative feeling towards social media, and I'm definitely in that camp. But on the other hand, I suppose it is a good way of trying to let people know about what you got going on, and trying to use it to the best within the paradigm of trying to stay true to yourself.
Obviously, you want as many people to hear the record, and it is a great record, so I would recommend everyone checks it out when it comes out. But there has been, there's always a lot of backlash against streaming services, even more so in the last few weeks and months with Spotify and kind of the investments of their owner. I suppose, would you kind of ever consider taking your music off Spotify, or is it kind of just a necessary means to hopefully reach more people?
I mean, I think at some point you got to think, put all options on the table, I suppose. I haven't followed it as much as I probably should have in terms of, because I have seen a few people who have started to take their music down. And I don't know, like I think, I'd be open to, that doing that at some point if it felt like, absolutely the right thing to do. But on the other hand, it is difficult because you kind of, you're trying to kind of, I'm quite a small, artist really, and I don't have a huge fan base. I think it's kind of,
and Spotify is, I think, 60% of the streaming world, or kind of give or take. So it's one thing for more established acts to do it, but I think it's a really big decision for kind of emerging artists or
it's a difficult one. I think, I guess it would be helpful if people did use other platforms a bit more, I suppose. That's kind of, I guess, but then it's kind of, if you did say you're taking your music down, you could push them to use other platforms. So I think it's definitely something to think about.
No, definitely. And a good a time as any to mention that the record is available on Bandcamp, or will be available on Bandcamp.
That's the preferred platform for
Yes.
for people to use. So
No,
yeah,
definitely.
head to Bandcamp.
Lovely. Well, I suppose a few final thoughts as we draw to an end. So maybe, we look ahead to 1 year's time. Do you have any kind of specific goals or, nice to do's in terms of where you'd like to be in your career?
My main kind of, I suppose, realistic goals, I guess, at this point, I've been around the block a few times, with this being my 5th record, I guess. I kind of, for me, the main things in music are having kind of the drive and the desire and energy to keep wanting to make music. That's kind of first and foremost for me. Writing songs is the absolute number one enjoyable part of the process for me. I kind of get so much out of that. So hopefully, my experience with releasing music and part of the whole music machine doesn't ever kind of diminish that side of things, because that's the key thing for me. But so hopefully that still remains intact. But then on, the other side of it for me is I'd love to be able to kind of take my music to different places, and as it's just kind of such a kind of beautiful, unique experience to go to. I did an Italy tour, for example, in May this year, and going to kind of quite small and remote towns, and meeting the people there, and playing for them. That's kind of another part of it, which is just feels so fortunate to be able to do that kind of thing. And so I'd like to do that as much as possible, to be honest. Go to places I've never been before. It's not always easy to kind of have the connections and find the right people to help you do that. But hopefully that can happen. And then I suppose just having a lot of people hear the music kind of, and having a positive impact with how people kind of perceive it. And
no, completely. Well, I think that's that's a very fitting answer. And you've thrown out a few great nuggets in terms of advice for other artists, but is there any other advice that kind of springs to mind for maybe somebody who's just starting out, say, writing songs, playing, might be open mics, smaller gigs in whatever city they are. Any advice for kind of building upon that?
Yeah, I mean, on I guess on the writing the songs side of things, just follow where your inspiration takes you in terms of in staying true to yourself and writing about stuff that really kind of it makes you feel something emotionally. I think that's always going to be a good way to approach that side of things. And then I think for me, like kind of when I first started playing in London was finding kind of a spot, a venue, or whether it was an open mic or one of these kind of regular nights. I personally found the Lantern Society at the Betsy Trotwood, and met a lot of people that I'm still my good friends in music to this day through that. So it's kind of like finding somewhere that you feel like at home with the people that kind of tend to go there as well, and having a kind of a support group of like-minded people that can help you, just help you kind of push you to keep doing what you're doing, basically.
Finding a community of like-minded.
Community, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's lovely advice. So finally we ask all our guests to recommend a song they've been enjoying by an artist perhaps we haven't heard of. So if you could introduce yours, and then we'll hear a little clip.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm going to go with a guy called Dominic Silvani, who is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a few years now, probably about 10 years or more. He's kind of the king of kind of really kind of cutting straight to the heart, emotional. Well, I'd probably have to say breakup song in this point of his life. But Dominic Savani, Waiting to Leave.
In the interests of consistency, I tried to be discreet. Covered your omissions and the whispers in your sleep. For a while I thought that I had earned a sympathy reprieve. I was waiting for the tide to turn, and you were just waiting to leave. I made it all this way without you. I'm not about to just start again.
Alrighty, so important information to note. The new record, Planet Heaven, by Jeremy Tuplin, is out on the 17th of October. You can pre-order via Trap Animal Records or on Bandcamp as well. Is there anywhere else you'd like to send people to?
I think those are the main two places, to be honest, in terms of how it will most positively impact the sales and so on. But it should be in a lot of local record stores as well eventually. And if it isn't, you can ask them to order it in as well, and that's always kind of can be a good thing for the distribution companies and so on. But yeah,
lovely. And it is, I had the pleasure of listening to it earlier, and it is a really beautiful record. So yeah, definitely recommend listening. So thank you very much, Jeremy, for coming on New Sounds Union. It's truly appreciated. So yeah, we'll go out with one more track from the new record. This is the epic Passing Through the Western Lagoon.
Take me up to Skegness, baby, I'll take you down to Burnham. Bet you never been to Western. Bet you never been to Western. Up on the sphere, watch it all begin. Eyelids lift eyes like they're tied to string.
It's now time to pick out a couple of tracks that we've featured recently on the New Sounds Union Substack. First up is the fantastically fuzzy Northern Nowhere by Novelty Island, which is taken from his new record Jigsaw Causeway, which is coming out later this month. This is an absolute treat. Enjoy.
Tripping the switch on the M6. Why did I care? Nothing, no way. I turn it off and on again, on again, on again. Yeah, I'll turn it off and on.
Next is Mango Season by Peter Cat. Great name. While on the surface, this appears to be a arms in the air summer party anthem, there's a unsettling quality to the track which hints at darker themes underneath. Let's have a listen.
They'll ask me with a smirk, what reasons did you find? I will reply with something stupid like it's mango season.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause love is the reason. Yeah, yeah, 'cause love is the reason. Yeah, yeah, 'cause it's mango season.
If you like the sound of those and think to yourself, I would love to receive great new music to my inbox of choice every week for free, well, you are in luck. You'll find plenty more recommendations at newsoundsunion.substack.com. Thank you very much for listening to New Sounds Union. If you'd like to get in touch, drop us an email at newsoundsunion@gmail.com or find us over at the New Sounds Union Substack. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. and leave us a review if you're feeling extra kind. This has been a Glow Bureau production. We'll see you next time.